Welcome back here today on the beautiful campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Another in our series of what's going on in the community. And today we do have a treat. I say that very, very often. But today we have Tommy Sasser, currently City Councilperson for the City of Chipley, Florida, for Ward 2. When we come back, we're going to talk to Tommy about Chipley. I am fascinated with Washington County, with Chipley specifically. There are 5 municipalities in the county of Washington in which we find ourselves. Chipley being the county seat, and as one of the few counties in the Florida Panhandle without a coastline, we do not have the tax base nor the tourism income that some of the other counties do. So therefore, we need to get creative, and our municipalities within that county also have to do the same. So I look forward to this conversation. When we come back, we're going to talk to Tommy Sasser, City Councilperson for the City of Chipley, Florida, Ward 2, and we will be right back. Welcome back. As mentioned, our guest today is Tommy Sasser. You know, I invite you guys on all the time, and you guys being elected officials, city fathers, leaders of industry, business owners, and that sort of thing, Tommy. And we have quite a progression of people through the show. I was looking back, the last time that you were on was just about exactly 2 years ago. It was in July of 2021, and we now find ourselves in July of 2023. So sometimes I have to twist your arm to get you on here, and maybe I just haven't asked enough, but thanks for being here today.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Now, you are, we can talk about your business, Sasser Bookkeeping. We can talk about Chipley, which we'll do all of that. But sort of the 500-pound gorilla in the room is the fact that you are a city council person for the city of Chipley. So let's hit that first. You are the representative for Ward 2.
Yes.
There are 4 wards in Chipley and then one other elected official, which is an at-large. So that's my conception, and it may be misconception. If you would, please tell me how that hierarchy works within the city of Chipley.
Now, the elections are at large, so anyone who lives within the city limits of Chipley are eligible to vote.
Gotcha. Now, do you look at yourself as one of 5, and the 5 of you represent Chipley, or is there some proprietary feeling towards your own ward?
My opinion about that is the at-large voting system, because when we're sitting on the council and I vote on an item, it's for the whole city of Chipley. So I believe everyone should have a chance at saying who sits on the council.
And it makes sense. So by extrapolation, would it be fair to say that any resident that has a problem, whether it's in their ward or not, would not necessarily call their ward representative, but rather any of the sitting council people?
If you have a problem with some of the city services or with the city itself, you can call any representative, any council person, and express your concerns. And I know I would, and I'm sure any of the other councilmen would be happy to help you with your problem.
Now, you guys get a really large paycheck every month for that position. So I can imagine sometimes that you feel some frustration, feel like you've got your feet to the fire, if you will. How is the resident response to you? In other words, do you get a lot of phone calls? Do you get a lot of pats on the back saying you're doing a good job? Do you get a lot of people saying, man, you're terrible, I'm going to run against you next time? What kind of feedback do you get from the public?
Normally, it's all good. There are problems that you can help with, and problems, as you know, we have a water problem in Chipley, drainage. Right now, the city has a engineering evaluation being conducted for the northwest quadrant of Chipley. The thing about the northwest quadrant of Chipley, 90% of the drainage goes through that quadrant. You know, I'm thinking about down in the southeast quarter, the waters that drain through there come across Highway 90, across the Camelton Highway 273, and into the northwest quadrant.
Interesting.
So
Everything's kind of going northwest.
right. But the
Which
grant, they qualified best when we applied for the grant to get the survey and the updates to the drainage system done. We're talking, the total grant was like $2.9 million, so it's a fairly large undertaking.
Yeah, stormwater drainage has always been an issue when it comes to infrastructure, but seems to be more all the time. And the rule of thumb is that you don't drain water from your property onto somebody's adjacent property. It's frowned upon at the very least, and most of the time you have to, if you get a large enough piece of property, you have to have a retaining pond, or there has to be some kind of way to get rid of that 100-year flood water, I guess is what it's based on.
The city is, right now the city's main drainage problem is a good idea from 100 years ago. This ditch takes care of the drainage, but then this property owner adds a ditch going into it, this one adds a ditch going into it. Your drainage is not adequate to take care of everything that's being added. And I think this latest undertaking that we have right now is going to help the whole of Chipley. If you'll remember a couple of years ago when Hurricane Sally came through, City Hall flooded. This is all part of the downstream drainage problem that we have. Everything in Chipley drains, just about drains into Alligator Creek. Hurricane Michael put trees in Alligator Creek, slowed the water down. So I think that's going to wind up being a portion of this new survey and drainage update.
You mentioned a grant for that, at least in that investigation into what can be done. How are grant or the availability of grants these days? Is the city able to secure grants? Or obviously that's always a challenge, but are you able to secure some to make these things happen?
We have done very well with grants, and we have a firm who's helping us with state appropriations. We just received a state appropriation for $500,000 to upgrade our emergency equipment, primarily a new water tanker. So,
and those are expensive.
Way more than I expected.
It's not just a truck, it's a specialized piece of equipment, and all of a sudden,
exactly.
You know, they say you take a regular old axe that you can use to split wood in the backyard and you paint it red and you call it a fire axe, and all of a sudden the price triples.
Exactly.
And unfortunately we experienced some of that. You have to be careful with grants. You can get a grant to build a building and find yourself with a building that you can't afford to maintain or pay the power bill on.
Exactly.
And that happens on occasion. So obviously issue there. Potable water. Potable water over the years, in my conversations with Dan Miner and other city officials, there have been some issues. You guys are constantly working, repairing, replacing that system. What's the shape of the potable water system now in Chipley?
Relatively good shape. Now we are attempting to add on. You know, the more services you can provide, the better things are. With the new well out on South 77, we were able to provide water/fire hydrants to a larger portion of the community. By the way, that's an area we're looking at to add to the city so that we can furnish any businesses who choose to locate out there with city services. Now we have water now. The sewer is south of the interstate and would have, you know, depending on where the business is located, we would have to add to get them attached to the city sewer. The gas, a restaurant, and I know there's been a lot on the news here lately about gas stoves, but we do have the ability to put gas south of the interstate. It's basically going to be run the line through a bore drill that we already have under the interstate.
And I knew that you had done that some time ago. Let's talk about that aspect of it. Chipley around 4.2 something square miles.
Right.
I know that you guys have had some conversations lately about annexation, about the ability to expand the scope of the city. In broad strokes, what forms of discussion are you having with that?
Broad strokes. We decided or looked at areas which needed to be added to the city, primarily south of the interstate, so we could provide those services and attract businesses. The county industrial park. Right now, economic development has numerous grants applied for to assist a business who is looking at locating out there. Part of their grants that they've applied for is to put city services into the area. With that, that's personal priority. That'd be priority number 2. Now, we are looking at some of Highway 90 so we can add businesses going to the west of Chipley. So those are the personal first 3 priorities. Now, we have looked at other areas to square up the city and make it a little more uniform, and there again provide services to the people in the outlying areas of Chipley.
We'll be right back.